home was exactly what he needed. And he came running back to a loving father. And it's a great story, and we've all heard it in some fashion before. But today, we're going to talk about the other brother, as some people say, the forgotten brother. If we can get that painting up on there it is. You will notice that you have the younger son, who is in the kind of yellow-brown rags, on the left, kneeling. Traditionally, the one who is standing on the right side, who is standing quite straight, his cane, his robe, is considered the elder brother. Today we're going to talk about him and what he means for us today. So with that, I invite you all to stand for the reading of God's Word. At the end, I will say, "This is the word of the Lord given for the people of the Lord," to which we will all respond, "Thanks be to God." So, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, beginning at verse 25. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat, so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." Then the father said to him, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found." This is the word of God given for the people of God. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. Before I keep going, one more thing that I remembered. Last week I explained how a lot of what I'm talking about, a lot of what I've been processing and thinking, began because Rembrandt painted a painting. A man named Henry Nouwen was inspired by it, wrote a book about it. I read the book, and my life was changed forever. So we talked about how it went from Rembrandt to Nouwen to Carpenter. Well, before I read Nouwen, there was a guy 3.5 years ago who came to NNU by the name of Scott Evans. I've referenced him a couple different times, and those in my Sunday school class will know his writing material. He came to NNU and preached partially on this. And it was the first time that I ever realized that there's more than one son to this story. And I also realized that I am indeed the elder son. Not just because I have one younger brother, but in many ways I can relate to this younger son. So, last week we talked about the younger son for all of you younger siblings. So today, for all of you older siblings, all of you firstborn, get ready. And so as I said, there's been this great misconception about this parable, that it's been about this younger son who takes everything, runs away, loses it all, finally realizes he needs home, comes back home, and is embraced by the father. And the younger son is the sinner, the father is God, and everybody else, as the elder son, is the one who just gets to learn the lesson, gets the little motivational pep talk at the end of the day. But in looking over this and studying it and reflecting on it over and over and over again, we come to find out that this is not the story of the good son and the bad son. This is not the story of the one who ran away and the one who stayed home, because both sons are lost. Both are not where they are supposed to be. So it's not a good son, bad son. It's that both are lost. Both need to be found. Both need to come home. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Beginning at verse 25, it says, "Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing." So right off the bat, we learn that this elder son has been in the field. He's been working. And apparently for quite a long time, because he comes back to see music and dancing. I mean, last week we talked about how the son comes home and the father, he puts the robe, the ring, the sandals on him, calls the slaves, kill the fatted calf, get the whole village together and let's party because the son of mine is home. So all of that has already taken place, and this elder son is finally coming home out of the fields. Why was he out there for so stinking long? I mean, surely he must have seen or heard something. I mean, if the painting again is any telling of who the father is, I would assume that being a man of high status and stature, he probably owns a lot of land. So maybe this son was really far out in the field. But still, the question remains, why was he out in the field this whole time? It's been something of note that many eldest siblings, if you were asked to characterize them, to list personal qualities of them, words that could often come to mind are responsible, obedient, dutiful, or maybe that's just me. The idea that you are the oldest, you are the one who is to be in charge, you are the one who is to take responsibility. And it's kind of a social norm or ethic for the day that the elder son would take up his father's trade. So he would take care of his dad's property, of his trade, of his business. So of course, he's out in the fields managing it, making sure everything's taken care of, making sure everything's a-okie dokie. And so one commentary talks about how for this elder son, the gift that he has for his father is faithfulness. He's always out working. He's always doing what he needs to do, always doing what he's told, and he's taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And he's never left home, which may be one of the reasons why the younger son runs away, is because he sees the life of his older brother and decides, I do not want that. But that was a sermon for last week. So he's out working all day, and he comes back and he sees a party going on. Now, normally, if we see a party happening, we think joy, celebration, rejoicing. Woohoo! Party! But I imagine that he does not see it that way. He probably sees, great, Dad's throwing another party, I didn't know about it, and I'm probably going to have to play host. I'm probably going to have to be the one to run around, make sure the drinks are taken care of. Is the food out? Is everything working? Are people comfortable and happy? And I'm probably not invited to the party either, because I got to make sure that everybody else is taken care of. And I'm sure we all know people who are like that. I know people whose spiritual gift, who their way of loving and serving other people is hosting parties. And boy, are they good at it, and they just make sure everything's taken care of, everybody's happy. But there's this amazing thing that happens when we look at them and we think, isn't it so nice that they take care of us? Isn't it so great that they're running around making sure we're all good? And we don't stop to wonder what's going on in their mind about, making sure everybody's taken care of. Making sure that everybody else is comfortable and happy and doing well. And I'm just working away, doing everything that I need to do. And then the other thought that this elder son probably has is, not only is he to host the party, not only is he to make sure everybody's comfortable, but when everybody leaves, guess who gets cleanup duty? Those who stay at home when everybody else leaves. So he's probably not thrilled after coming home from a very long, hard day at work to see a party that he has to take care of, he has to comfort and clean up after. But he goes home anyway. So then going on to verse 26. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. Instant anger. Because he comes home and he's like, okay, Dad's throwing a party, whatever, let's just, done this before, let's do it again. So he asked one of the slaves, "What's going on?" "Oh, you didn't hear? You didn't know? Your brother came back. And your dad's throwing him this huge party. One like we haven't had in years." Instant anger. You mean to tell me that no good brother of mine came back after everything he did? Dad throws him a party? I ain't going in there. No way. I will not celebrate with that. And notice also, something that's a little interesting, is that this younger son was outside the home, and now he's in. This elder son was inside the home, and now he's out. The places have been switched. I mean, it's ideal that both would be home, but as soon as this elder brother finds out what happened, he's like, I will not have any part of that. Not for him. Not after what he did. So then what happens? His father came out and began to plead with him. Father, who is throwing the party, who is hosting the party, leaves the party, which I would think is kind of a big deal, that you would leave your own party to go and find somebody, and then plead with them to come party with you. He comes out and finds his elder son out there, and he's like, "What's going on? Your brother's back. The whole village is inside. We got the fatted calf. We got beef for everybody. Come on in. Party's just getting started. We would love for you to join us." And he's pleading and he's begging, "Please, I want everybody to come in and celebrate. Talk to me about this." And then begins the rant with verse 29. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat, so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." That's kind of harsh. Henry Nouwen, in one of his books, has kind of a contemporary version of this rant. He says, "Why on earth would you give that worthless good-for-nothing so much of our money? How could you bow to such arrogance and disrespect? Don't you even get that he's a loser? Can't you appreciate that I am here working my head off for you while he goes out and does all those despicable things? Why should I have to stay and work while he spends our money to despite himself? You have no expectations of him, whereas you and everyone else expect me to be dutiful. He gets to go out and have fun. He gets to blow all of our money. I have to stay home and work. I have to go to church. He gets to go out and have fun." There's two words that I think can describe this best: entitlement and resentment. Entitlement, because I have slaved for you all of these years and I've never disobeyed your command. I've worked for you. I've done all of this stuff. I've done everything you've asked of me. Don't I deserve something? Haven't I earned what he's getting? And then resentment is seeing the blessings in the life of other people and kind of having that festering envy of, why isn't that me? Why can't I have that? Henry Nouwen describes resentment as a cold anger that burrows deep within our bones. It's not a hot, passionate anger, it's a cold one, because it's always repressed. It's always gulped down with a, Yep, I can do that. Don't worry about it, Dad. I'll take care of it. Yeah, I'll make sure everything's taken care of, when deep down you're just burning with, why me? Why can't I be like that? Why can't that happen to me? And he also calls out that for this son, you slaughter the fatted calf. You give him the party that we haven't had in years. But you've never given me a young goat for my friends and I to celebrate. It's almost like a modern day equivalent of, you throw him a steak dinner, and you won't even buy me a Happy Meal. What's up with that? And I can attest to feeling like that. Because I remember back in high school, as I've shared before, a lot of my friends that I had when I was growing up were not church folk. I hung out with a lot of people who wanted nothing to do with church, wanted nothing to do with God. But for some reason, they liked me, they liked hanging out with me, and I liked hanging out with them, so that's how it worked. And I can distinctly remember many, many, many Friday nights going over to one of their houses and having a party. And yes, I mean those kind of parties. The kind you don't talk about on Sunday morning. And I remember, it was always fun. Because, they were having their, whatever it was, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it. Just living the wild life. And I was there just hanging out, having a good time. It also helped that I didn't drink, so I was the DD all the time. But I always remember, even though it was fun, having this resentment. I'm a Christian. I'm a good person. Therefore, I don't partake in any of this. Does this mean that if I follow God, I'm not allowed to have fun anymore? Does this mean that if I keep going to church, I can never have this kind of freedom and fun? But I'm told that Jesus is the way, and I need to go to church because that's just what I do, so guess I don't get to have fun. That's kind of the idea that this elder son is having. He's resenting the fact that he doesn't get to go out to party, to have fun. And then it goes on with verse 30, when again he says, "But this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes. You killed the fatted calf for him." Notice, very, very important phrase. This son of yours. He totally separates himself. He cuts himself off from his own brother, saying, if that's what he's done, and that's how you're treating him, he's no brother of mine. He may be your son, but he's not my brother. I will have no part of that. No way, no how. He totally cuts himself off, because in this, he is way more concerned with justice rather than grace. He should have come home and got the whooping of a lifetime. And yet he comes home and Dad throws him a steak dinner. Here I am, working all of these years, slaving away for you, and yet I don't get anything. Nothing good ever happens to me. Small sidebar. A huge part of me wants to go and talk to this elder son. Give him a little one-on-one. And what's sad is that I have to give myself this one-on-one. I want to go to him, and he's saying, why can't I have this? How come this isn't happening to me? Do you know what I've done? Do you know how many years I've served you? How come nothing good happens to me? I just want to go to him and be like, look, I'm sorry, but it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about us. This is about God. If you're working so that your dad can bless you, then maybe you're not in the right heart. And I wonder how often we feel that God, I've been coming to church for so long. I've been obeying all of your commands. How come this hasn't happened? How come you haven't blessed me yet? Because, folks, it's not about us. If you come to church to feel something or to see what you can get out of it, then maybe you don't have the right idea of what the church is supposed to be. I think we have to realize that sometimes we can be resentful and we can be entitled because we've been and we've done and we've served. But always having the reminder, it's not about me. Not about us. I don't come to church to see what I can get out of it. I don't come to church to get that special feeling that I get. I come to church because of God. Hopefully, because I want to experience, to meet, to fall head over heels in love with God, and to realize that everything we have is a gift. Because once we start having this entitlement mentality, once we start having this resentment of I have done, I have been, I have worked, I have slaved, you're making everything sound like it has to be earned. Friends, grace is a gift. You don't earn that. Even if you could. You couldn't do enough. And that's exactly what this father has to say to his son. When we look at verse 31, Father said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. The father affirms his son. You're always with me. Everything I have is yours. He affirms him, which I'm pretty sure is what this son has been wanting to hear all along. When I first heard and read this and started thinking about it, it brought me back to my relationship with my dad. My dad's a great guy. I mean, he's my hero. And he works hard with everything he does. And part of that meant that when we were growing up, meant that if you were going to do something, do it with excellence. Everything you do, everything you put your hand, your heart, your mind to, must be of the highest caliber. Because nothing is worth doing unless it is worth doing well. And so for years, there was this nagging voice of guilt in the back of my head. Every time it didn't come out quite right, every time that it didn't quite measure up, every time that it wasn't perfect, I failed again. I screwed up. I messed up. Now I got to start all over. I have to work at this. I have to do something. I have to make sure that my dad is proud of me. And I'll never forget my first year at NNU. I'm finally at my school, finally doing what I love, doing what I think is what I'm called to do. And it was a rather average, ordinary phone call. Just chatting with Dad, giving him the heads up about what's going on. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, out of nowhere, I hear these words, Nick, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the man you've become, of what you've done and what you're doing, and you're doing such a great job. And I wonder if that's what this elder son needed to hear the whole time. Son, I'm proud of you. You're doing great. And I have to apologize to some of you, because I have been blessed to have that opportunity, to have my father, the one I look up to, the one I admire, say that he's proud of me. And I know some of us don't have that opportunity anymore. whether it's dad, mom, grandparents, aunt, uncle, mentor, somebody that we were trying so desperately to please, to show that we're good enough, to finally get that affirmation of, they're proud of me. They finally love me. And I'm sorry if you don't have that opportunity anymore. But I can give you this. Every single one of you has a heavenly Father who, again, like last week, says, I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you've done. I don't care that you came up short. I don't care that what you're doing doesn't quite measure up. None of that matters, because I'm proud of you. Because I love you. And nothing can change that. You can't earn that. You can't merit that. Because just you is all I need. And everything that is given to us is a gift. Which is what this father says to his elder son. All that is mine is yours. I mean, the younger son took everything of his and he ran off and lost it. So literally, everything that I have left is yours. Everything that we are given, everything that we have, that we possess, is a gift. And we just have to accept it. Don't have to earn it. Don't have to work for it. You cannot earn the grace of God. You accept it and you receive it. And so now, and we'll talk about how with many who identify with the elder son, they have a resentment and entitlement that they have to earn and they have to work for their favor. And he says, the way to break that is with gratitude and trust. To trust that God, no matter what happens, no matter how much I feel God or don't feel God, no matter how much I see God or don't see God, no matter where I am, what's going on, that God is still there and he still loves me. And then gratitude in recognizing that everything is a gift, that everything we have, everything we are, comes from God. That we can't earn any of it. We just have to say, thank you, and receive it. And so then how does it end? With verse 32. We had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. We have to celebrate. We got a party. Your brother's come home. I know he screwed up. I know he left a mess. And he's hurt us. But we got a party. Because he's back. And I know that he's hurt us. But he's still your brother. Friends, if we hold on to our resentment and entitlement, then I am convinced that we will never know joy. Because if we are always comparing ourselves to what's happening with other people, if we are always looking at what's going on over there and not being thankful and grateful for what we have here, then we are never going to know the joy that God brings us. And so we need to join the party. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter where they've come from. Yeah, they may have screwed up. Yeah, they may have hurt us. But if they come home and they're seeking God, then we, as the church, as followers of Christ, as elder brothers, we too are called to embrace them. And say, I'm so glad you've come home. Let's go hang out. Let's go party. And so all of this if you haven't guessed it by now, has been directed at certain people. Way back at the beginning of the chapter, all of this entire parable, has been directed directly at the Pharisees. Because what happens at the beginning of the chapter? Jesus is eating dinner with the sinners and tax collectors, and the Pharisees come in and they grumble. And they say, he eats with sinners. He dines with tax collectors. And they resent. They feel entitled. And so Jesus tells them this story. That there's joy for the sinners who come home. And that we, as a Pharisee, as an elder brother, are called to embrace and party with them. To rejoice that God has called the lost ones home. And so it ends on kind of a cliffhanger. It just says, this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. We don't know if the elder brother joins the party or not. We don't know if he goes in. We don't know if he stays outside. But I wonder if Jesus purposefully left it open so that the Pharisees, so that the elder sons in the crowd, so that we could have the opportunity with the question of, so what's it going to be? You going to come and join the party? Are you going to embrace joy and gratitude? Or are you going to stand outside in the cold, bitter resentment? May we choose joy over resentment. May we choose gratitude over entitlement. And may we join our younger brothers and sisters in coming home out of the fields and party. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for reminding us that it's not about us. Thank you for reminding us that all of this is about you. And that you are so great and so loving and so gracious that we do not have to earn your favor because you offer it to us freely. God, you love us just as much as you love the lost ones, the younger siblings, the sinners. God, you welcome us home with them, and you offer us pure, beautiful joy in coming home. May we embrace that. Help those of us who have cold bitterness within us to release that, to relinquish it for gratitude, to remember that all that we have is a gift from you, and all that you require from us is a simple thank you. So thank you. Amen.